welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Einstein. Thank you all for joining me tonight as we go through and we do today's reading from James Allen's Daily Meditation. And I would like to say this is the 300th episode. So this is the 300th day of, actually, it's not the 300th, it's the 299th day of the year. But I did do the reading for February 29th as well, just to make sure that if someone's listening to this in another year, anytime from now, the 29th is accounted for. So this is the 300th reading, though, the 300th episode of this podcast. So thank y'all for joining me, and it's been a great journey for me. Those who have been sticking with me for a while now, I really do appreciate it. Support is always a nice thing to see. Appreciate it. I was trying to find a different way to say appreciate it. I can't think right now. So I'm looking forward to see what the 300th episode brings us. It should be interesting. And just the last couple days, this whole month has been really an incredible month, I'm going to say. I feel like there's been so much covered and just very rock solid month for what we're supposed to be doing and the goals we've been talking about. So let's go ahead and get this going. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, as always, as this will be the first time that I've heard it or read it right here on this podcast with you. So you can get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. This is October 26th from James Allen's Daily Meditations. Let a man put away egotism, and he will see the universe in all the beauty of its pristine simplicity. Let life cease to be lived as a fragmentary thing, and let it be lived as a perfect whole. The simplicity of the perfect will then be revealed. How shall the fragment comprehend the whole? Yet how simple that the whole should comprehend the fragment. He who would become the greater, let him abandon the lesser. In no form is the circle contained, but in the circle all forms are contained. In no color is the radiant light imprisoned, but in the radiant light all colors are embodied. Let a man destroy all forms of self, and he shall apprehend the circle of perfection. When a man succeeds in entirely forgetting, annihilating his personal self, he becomes a mirror in which the universal reality is faultlessly reflected. Wow. I like that. It's an interesting way he's phrased these things, and I like the examples and perspectives that he gives. Honestly, that's really, really cool. That's pretty awesome. So, what's the saying? Just got reminded of a saying. Can't see the forest for the trees. We miss the big picture because we're staring at these little bits and pieces of it, thinking that's what the most important thing is. Something that I do often, if I'm honest. So here we go. Let's take a look at it. Let a man put away egotism, and he will see the universe in all the beauty of its pristine simplicity. I like this line. It's like a summary of the whole thing, or the basis of. It's the basis of what we talk about. It's basis of getting rid of our own opinions and everything that we associate ourselves with, the materialistic, or the desires, the opinions. Yeah. So let a man put away egotism, and he will see the universe in all the beauty of its pristine simplicity. So, in other words, when we put ourselves out of the way, when we move ourselves to the side, we can see what's actually going on here. We can see what's actually happening. And it's really that simple. But it's difficult to really follow through as thoroughly as what it seems to be demanded. But it is a process, it is a purification process. And thank God for that. So, and I like how he says that pristine simplicity. There's the universe, I do believe, at least the spiritual realm of the universe, it's much more simple than I would think. I'd like to complicate everything first and foremost, but the reality is that the simplicity that you find if you start walking this path is so straightforward. It's almost as if that can't be the right answer. But most of the time, it's just me not wanting that to be the right answer because it doesn't go how I want things to go. So, but it's a reminder that usually the simplest solution is the most honest and truthful. So, here we go. Let's go into the main body of this. Let life cease to be lived as a fragmentary thing, and let it be lived as a perfect whole. And the simplicity of the perfect will then be revealed. So, don't think what you do over here will only be relevant to what you do over here, or what you do with this person is only relevant between what you do with with it's only relevant with what you do with this person, right? We like to compartmentalize. We like to sit there and give a excuses and justifications for our behaviors. And you know, someone told me once, anything I have to justify, rationalize, minimize, or excuse, probably shouldn't be doing. If I have to reason it out in my head, I probably shouldn't be doing it. And when I like this fragmented word because that's really how it is, it becomes just this pile of false fright, false fronts and deception. And I become a fragmented person because I'm handling my life as a fragmented way of living. And when I'm doing that, I'm serving myself, right? I'm thinking about just me. I'm thinking about only how things affect me ever. But when I step back and I see my role in the entirety of the thing, in the whole, right? In the grand scheme of things, or take a step back to see the full picture, big picture. Take a look at the forest. We can see how selfish we are. We can see how everything works. We can see the flow of life. We can see why things go the way they go, or at least begin to, maybe. He sends the next sentence is, how shall the fragment comprehend the whole? Then we go into some examples of it, but it's true, right? Because when you're only thinking about yourself, you're in a you're literally in a position where you can't think about the grand scheme of things. You just can't, because your world narrows and focuses on only what serves you. That's how I was. I only thought about things that would serve me, and they weren't always in a good way. Most of the time, they weren't in a good way. So, how in that state of mind could I conceive anything of how the universe works with these truths and understandings? I couldn't. I couldn't even consider them. Yet how simple that the whole should comprehend the fragment. When we finally get ourselves out of the way and we take a look at the bigger picture, like I said earlier, we just see why. We see that why finally that many of us look for. Why do things happen the way they happen? And then when you walk this way of life and you live this way of life, get given as some would say, a new set of glasses or a new lens to view life through, a new perspective, new understanding. I don't know why I keep hitting the mic tonight. Sorry, guys. Right? When I get those things, when I get that understanding and step back, I see it so much simpler. But I get lost in the details and the self-centeredness of what I want and how I want to act. He who would become greater, the greater, let him abandon the lesser. I guess, yeah, that's what we're talking about here. Leaving behind your old desires, your old personality, your old opinions, and embrace the greater. Let go of the lesser. Let go of these things. In no form is the circle contained, but in the circle all forms are contained. So we don't get in this fragmented way of thinking or fragmented way of living. We can't see the broad picture, but when we get to the broad picture, we understand that fragmented way of living. In no color is the radiant light imprisoned, but in the radiant light, all colors are embodied. Right? When you're looking at it backwards, it seems impossible. When you're looking at it from the larger origination, right? Because, well, light contains all colors. Instead of trying to look at colors and see, well, light has them contained. It's a whole different thing. You don't even understand that you're asking the wrong question most of the time for that example. Let a man destroy all forms of self, and he shall apprehend the circle of perfection. So when you get yourself out of the way, I feel like I'm talking about the circle of life from Lion King when I hear that say this, when the circle of perfection. Let a man destroy all forms of self, and he shall apprehend the circle of perfection. When we get fully out of the way, when we're able to actually see these perspectives and these understandings and these principles for what they actually are, and because we've gotten out of the way, that's the circle of perfection. That's the circle of life, right? That's the balance of the world. We can see it when we just stop thinking we're the most important person to serve. Me serving me doesn't work well usually. Let a man destroy all forms of self. I love that. I love the concept of just destroying self. I mean, this is a association with the St. Francis prayer, and there's just so many other religious examples of doing this as well as secular. But destroying self, and yeah, apprehend the circle of perfection. All right, now the closing idea. When a man succeeds in entirely forgetting, annihilating his personal self, he will become a mirror which the universal reality is faultlessly reflected. So we need to let go of our old selves and let go of these bad habits and these ways of thinking. We need to let these things go fully. Not just stop doing them, but stop thinking they're a good thing to have to serve you too, right? Like, don't miss them. Let them disappear into the background of your life, into your story that you can use to help someone else one day. and embrace the spiritual way of living, and you'll become a mirror for truth and spirituality. And trust me that it's usually not always well received because we aren't the only group of people in the world that doesn't have a good time with reality. So, but all right, that's the end of the reading tonight. Thank you all so much for joining me. Awesome reading, sacrificing of self, destroying self, that we may know a grander idea and embrace that. So, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Until next time, thanks.